If a fighting game told you to bring a potion and a stat stick to a duel, would you laugh or listen? Twice vs Trails in the Sky, alternative Saga wants you to listen. This is Falcom's 20,000 PSP crossover, remastered for PS4, PS5, Switch and PC, finally launched worldwide on October 10th, 2025 for $35. The pitch is wild but simple, a 3D arena brawler wearing action JRPG boots. The question is whether those boots still fit, or if we're cosplaying comfort from a different era. Context first, so your wallet doesn't get ambushed. 16 playable characters, all pulled from YS7 and Trails in the Sky. Not Cold Steel, not Modern Vice, just that slice. Modes are thick. Story with 5 POVs, arcade, free and online for 2 to 4 players. You're leveling characters, equipping skills and accessories, spending Mona points in a shop that expands as you splurge, and yes, grinding. The grind isn't a rumor. One outlet calls it a Herculean climb to unlock everything. That's not a deal breaker if you like progression in your fighter, but it's a vibe you need to want. Let's swing the camera down to the floor. Combat borrows its skeleton from YS's action entries, not the old school bump antics. You've got a dedicated attack with combos and a charge, jump, dash and a proper guard. Time your guard at the last moment and you get a repel and a window for temporary critical hits. There's a stamina bar throttling dashes and blocks. Empty it and you're stunned. Now the JRPG sauce, skills map to R2 plus a face button that consume SP refilling as you land or eat hits. A big diamond-shaped extra gauge that cashes out into a flashy super on L1. And a once per match assist with L1 plus R1 that throws a partner into the chaos for a quick swing. Status ailments aren't window dressing. There are 10 of them: poison, burn, freeze, petrify, confuse, heavy, paralysis, blind, rage, DF down, and they ebb off over time. Smash the pots and chests dotting the stages and you'll pop consumables to refill HP, SP stamina, or extra or snag a Rhoda leaf to shrug off a debuff. It's not Street Fighter footsies. It's a scrap where positioning and resource churn matter, and it absolutely feels like an YS brawl in a bigger sandbox. There's also a panic button. Press 2 face buttons to spend 20% of your current HP for a burst that shoves enemies away. It's a clean get off me that smart players will bait, punish or save to escape supers. Where the knives come out is depth. Multiple reviewers land on the same pressure point. For a fighting game, the mechanics cap out fast compared to modern standouts. There's fun to be had in the ripples, the air trajectory quirks and the EX timing, but the meta doesn't spiral the way genre lifers crave. That's why you'll hear lines like "feels like a multiplayer mode" tacked onto YS7. It's a little harsh, but the meaning tracks. There's breadth in modes and unlocks, not a huge ceiling in match-to-match tech. Presentation is a time machine with a fresh coat. In-engine models are blocky and angular, a relic of PSP budget reality. The remaster cleans textures and UI, buffs backgrounds and portraits, and across reports the frame rate is smooth. One reviewer ran the Switch build at a locked 60 on newer hardware and didn't notice dips. The story sequences lean full visual novel, static portraits over still backdrops. It looks better than a straight PSP dump, but no one's confusing it for a 2025 showpiece. The art gallery you unlock is lovely, and Falcom fans know worth the detour. Music, riotously good. That's where there's unanimous praise. Falcom's bench is deep and the selections here are bangers with a long sound test you can get lost in. The voice acting, though, is the lava pit of disagreement. One review torches the English dub for stiff line read energy. Another calls the localization wonderful and name drops standout performances from Stephanie Shea and Matt Mercer. The third sides with the critics and says the English track hurts a thin plot. So what do we do with a split that sharp? Easiest read is direction and taste. If you already love these characters, a familiar voice might carry scenes. If you want pristine delivery to elevate a crossover fanfic premise, this dub won't rescue it. Flip to Japanese voices if you bounce off the English, both options are in. Quick spoiler in 3, 2, 1. You're in a limbo world called Xanadu. A dragon king named Galsus is brainwashing heroes, and you smack sense into them, one by one, to build a rebellion. It's an excuse plot, and the game doesn't pretend otherwise. Lore candy exists, like Poms versus Picards for your little helper, and stage nods to the Bright Home and Crossbell. But narrative is not the meal here. End spoilers. The online story is better than expected. Multiple sources report rollback netcode and crossplay across platforms, with online skirmishes supporting up to 4 players. In a mid-tier remaster of a 2010 oddball, that's the kind of modern lifeline that actually matters. Add 5 difficulty settings, English and Japanese VO, autosave, a fat collection menu for movies, music and wallpapers, and you've got a package that respects your time, even if it occasionally asks for too much of it. So where does veteran game land? Alternative Saga is a fan-first brawler that's genuinely fun to pick up, smart about resource mechanics, and generous with content, but it tops out at light for competitive depth. If Falcom worlds and music live rent-free in your head, $35 for a well-running crossover with rollback is easy to justify. If you're hunting the next lab monster, this isn't it. The most honest comparison is a great bonus mode that escaped its host game and brought merch. Before we wrap, let's address the elephant in the dojo, roster scope. Limiting to YS7 and Trails in the Sky is historically accurate to 2010, but in 2025 it feels small when you know how massive both franchises have become. That's the hazard of porting time capsules. The upside: everyone here has clearly defined kits that fit the system, and assists expand the playset just enough to keep mirrors from feeling stale. If this kind of no BS deep dive is your thing, hitch a ride with Veteran Game and hit subscribe. If you're nodding or fuming, toss a like so this take survives the algorithm and we can keep dragging weird, lovable games into the spotlight. Final call. Alternative Saga is a solid recommend for Falcom faithful, a curious rental for tourists, and a pass for lab goblins. Now the debate that actually matters: do you want Falcom to greenlight a full modern sequel with a bigger roster and current gen systems? Or should this beautiful relic stay a victory lap for the fans who kept the lights on?